Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a truly fascinating piece of history and strategy, the life and the enduring wisdom of Acharya Chanakya. Now, if you aren't familiar with him, Chanakya was an absolute ancient genius. He's widely known as the father of Indian politics and economics. I mean, we're talking about a guy who lived around 2,400 years ago, yet his strategies are so incredibly sharp they can still completely transform how you operate today. He was someone who, quite literally, made the impossible entirely possible.
Now, to really wrap your head around the power of his mind, you got to know his origin story, because it is wild. He was this highly educated teacher, right? But during a royal feast, he was brutally insulted for his physical appearance by the wildly arrogant king of the Magadha Empire, Dhanananda. The king literally ordered his guards to throw Chanakya out of the assembly. And it was in that exact moment of just profound public humiliation that Chanakya made this legendary vow. He untied his hair crest and pledged, "Till I don't completely destroy the Nanda dynasty, I won't tie my crest." It's such an incredible hook to his story. Just a man armed with nothing but his intellect, declaring all-out war on a massive, wealthy empire.
Just think about the sheer scale of that for a second. Contrast this mighty, unstoppable Magadha empire and its arrogant king with a poor, humiliated teacher whose only ally was a simple shepherd boy named Chandragupta. But through pure strategic brilliance and just unmatched intellectual superiority, Chanakya dismantled that entire empire. He elevated that shepherd boy to become the king of Hind and established the magnificent Maurya dynasty.
Okay, so how exactly did he do it? Well, let's dive into this. We're going to unpack his 5 core principles for sovereign success. Ultimate wealth, brains over brawn, no small threats, be courageous, and master your timing. Starting with principle 1, ultimate wealth. For Chanakya, real, true wealth wasn't shiny gold. It was education. He actually joked that without it, a person is about as useless as a goat's tail, completely unable to hide its privates or even swat away the flies.
He defined education as Kamdenu. That's a mythical, wish-fulfilling cow that represents a hidden treasure. Think about it for a second. Education is the wealth that nobody can see, your relatives can't divide it up in a dispute, and thieves absolutely cannot steal it from you. It's hands down the safest, most reliable wealth you will ever possess. It's basically universal currency that commands respect in every single corner of the globe.
And here is the real kicker. Money can easily be earned if you have knowledge. But knowledge, you cannot earn that just by having money. Chanakya famously looked King Nanda in the eye and told him his true wealth was his mind. And with it, he could literally build his own kings who would take care of him. If you've got intellect, financial wealth is just a byproduct. But actually, scratch that. All the riches in the world can't buy you an ounce of genuine wisdom if you don't do the work.
Which brings us to principle 2, brains over brawn. Chanakya was adamant that raw, uneducated physical power is completely useless without the intellect guiding it.
He loved using this classic fable to prove the point. There's this massive, easily frustrated lion who ends up getting completely outsmarted by a tiny, clever rabbit. When it was the rabbit's turn to be the lion's dinner, he told the hungry lion, "Hey, there's a bigger, meaner lion challenging your territory." So the rabbit leads him to a well. The foolish lion looks down, sees his own reflection in the water, roars in anger, and jumps straight in to fight it, and drowns. The takeaway here is profound. Even if you are the smallest one in the room, if you have knowledge, you can absolutely outmaneuver and destroy much bigger, stronger enemies.
All right, principle 3, no small threats. This is a massive warning for all of us. Ignoring small problems is just a guaranteed fast-track path to disaster. Let's be real. A heavy, powerful elephant can be driven totally mad and defeated by a single tiny ant. Immense, suffocating darkness is destroyed instantly just by lighting one small lantern. There's this famous story where thorns pricked Chanakya's feet in the jungle. His student, Chandragupta, immediately whipped out his sword to chop the creeper down. But Chanakya stopped him. He said, "Look, if you cut them today, they're just going to grow back tomorrow." Instead, he had him pour jaggery and curd right onto the roots. Why? Because the sweetness attracts ants, and those ants completely devour and destroy the plant from the bottom up. You never just trim a problem, you obliterate it at the source. He summed this up perfectly. Disease is like a debt, and debt is like a disease. If you ignore a tiny little 500 rupee debt today or just brush off a small physical wound, that habit of ignorance, it's going to compound that tiny issue into a massive, life-threatening crisis tomorrow.
Cure the small disease right now before it puts you in a hospital bed. Repay that small debt today before it completely wrecks your financial future. Moving to principle 4, be courageous. Chanakya had zero patience for cowardice. He firmly believed that playing it safe achieves absolutely nothing. He uses this really wild metaphor for risk and reward. If you boldly march straight into the lion's den, yeah, you face extreme, terrifying danger, but that is the only place you might find the mythical, priceless elephant gem. Now, if you take the safe, scavenging path of the hyena, what are you going to find? A leftover calf's tail, a scrap of donkey skin? The lesson is clear. If you want those monumental, life-changing rewards, you have to be daring enough to step right into the lion's den. And, it's so fascinating how this 2,400-year-old demand to think big aligns perfectly with modern motivational speakers. Take Les Brown's famous quote, "Shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you'll land among stars." Chanakya was essentially preaching this exact same mindset millennia ago. Think big. It literally costs you $0 to think big, but thinking small guarantees you'll never truly succeed. Finally, we hit principle 5, and Chanakya himself called this a very dangerous point. Master your timing, because you can have all the brains and all the courage in the world, but if your timing is off, you will fail. The bottom line is this: doing the right things at the wrong time brings pain. Doing the right things at the right time brings reward. Fun fact, Chanakya actually lost his very first war against Magad simply because he rushed it. If you launch a brilliant project when market conditions are terrible or your personal life is a mess, it's not going to work. And worse, it's going to shatter your self-confidence, and you'll start second-guessing a perfectly good plan. Even a hungry lion will take a step back and wait for the exact, perfect microsecond to strike. Patience isn't just a virtue, it's an absolute necessity for success. So to make sure your timing and your intentions are bulletproof, Chanakya left us a really powerful 3-step checklist run-through before starting any new endeavor. Number 1, ask yourself, why am I doing this work? Your why has to be crystal clear. Number 2, what could be the results of this work? You need to actually anticipate the outcomes, good and bad. And 3, will I be successful after doing this work? You got to sit down, shut out the noise, and answer these 3 questions with just brutal honesty. Only step forward if you get satisfying answers. We've just walked through a blueprint forged by a man who literally overthrew an empire using nothing but his mind. So I'm going to leave you with this question. Which of these 5 principles is actively missing from your life strategy right now? Think about it. If a humiliated teacher could conquer an entire empire 2,400 years ago using these exact rules, what empire could you conquer tomorrow if you started applying them today? Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this explainer, and keep learning.